Hello and welcome to the Critically Kudos. Today we are in Age of Wonders 4 and we're doing a faction build. Now this is for my Elven Druids. I think it's a really fun build and I'm looking forward to showing it to you. Before I get into this build though, I would like to remind you guys that you can build anything you want. I'm not saying that anything I'm doing is better than anything else. I'm just saying it's a fun build to try. There's so many different combinations that you guys can put together in this game. It's insane, but hopefully we're going to put together a little bit of a guide. I'm going to explain exactly why I'm picking all of my choices. Now, like I said, this is an Elven Druid build, so we're going to go with the Elven race. So first of all, our first decision is our body trait, and there's some really good ones here that would work well. Hearty is always one I would probably recommend. Strong and tough being another two I would also happily recommend. What we're going to go for today though is wolf mounts. Now the effects we have for a wolf mount is a plus 10 hit points. We also gain pack hunters as a passive ability. Also we get the enfeebling howl ability. And then we also have our ruler starting with a white wolf mount. For our mind trait, again, there are a few decent ones here. Adaptable, I believe, to be the greatest trait here, but we're going to do something a little bit different with our Elven Druids. We're going to go for ferocious. Now, with ferocious, this is great for fighting enemies up close. You also deal 40% damage via retaliation attacks and attacks of opportunity. Next up, we have our cultural pick, and again, this is where we can actually go ahead and choose our affinities. And as we said, this is a Elven Druid, so I kind of want a bit of forestry, kind of want a bit of, magic going on as well. I think good choices here would be feudal or barbarian, but we're going to go with feudal, and the reason being, structures get an extra food income. Units benefit from close formation with stand together, meaning that units deal 20% more damage when standing next to a friendly unit. After that, you've also got feudal lords. These are titles that you can give to your heroes that have certain buffs and positive effects. Next up, we have our society traits. And again, right now we have the ability to assign more affinities if you choose to. And there are some awesome traits that we can pick up here. The one we're going to be looking at though is Adapt Settlers. Here you get a +1 on your city cap. You also have founding cities cost 25% less Imperium. Newly founded cities gain 1 extra population, and your starting city starts with a bonus 1 population, which is absolutely massive. Now for our second society trait, I'm into arms really. I do want to have some magic popped in, but I'm not exactly sure where I want to go. Shadow offers a lot of decent magic, especially if you want to dive into necromancy, but maybe we'll save that for another build. I also want to shout out Great Builders. This is an unbelievable perk that you can actually pick and offers you so much of a jump in your early game. But I think a good one for us is going to be Mana Channelers. Now, if you're going to go down this route, you really will need to invest heavily in this as you go into the game, because most of their decent perks happen rather later on, and especially as you get to the later stages of their tomes, the tier 3, 4 and 5. Absolutely amazing tomes to grab, but it does take some work. Now the mana channelers come with summoning spells cost 50% less mana, so in other words you're going to be able to cast more spells more often. Magic Origin troops also have +1 in rank. I happen to think that's kind of fitting because in the druid culture, I believe that the druids themselves, the magic units, would have been classed higher ranked than the basic warriors. And your starting bonus picking this up is you get to start with an extra magic origin unit. Next up, we have our tome selection. Now, reminder that picking your tome gives you an extra 2 affinity points in whichever tome you happen to pick. They also typically come with a specialized building and another kind of perk. It's all really random, but some of them are absolutely amazing. Have a little look through what you think would best help your playthrough. And remember that these bonuses don't only come with the first tome you pick, but every single tome that you pick in the game. Now, personally, I believe that Tome of Beasts is a decent one for us to pick. I think it's very fitting for the Druids and for the Elves. With this, we're going to be able to summon more animals into battle, and I think getting the forest creatures on our side just works rather good. And of course, if we get the right nature affinity early on, it means we're not actually going to have to dive into it and add into it later in our game. Now, with the Tome of Beasts, we get the Wildlife Sanctuary, which personally is why I want it so badly. With the Wildlife Sanctuary, not only do you get a plus 10 food, you also get a plus 5 to draft per adjacent province with a forest. Now, this also unlocks a production of animal units, and it's a lot of animal units that this unlocks. On top of all of that, it also counts as a forester. So this is a serious shortcut into your game. You get extra food, and of course it opens up a ton of extra troops. Now perhaps our last big choice is whether we go down the champion route or the Wizard King. For what we're trying to hope to achieve, I think the Wizard King is best suited. This is an Elven Druid culture. They're going to rely on their magic for the late game, especially if you dive down that route. I think the Wizard King is very fitting. All cities have a 10 plus to their mana income, a plus 5 to our world map casting points as well, meaning we're going to be able to cast some of those bigger spells a little bit quicker. And now we've sorted all of that, just a reminder to everyone that within Age of Wonders, this is only the beginning of your civilization, of your faction. Throughout your playthrough, your faction is going to grow and change based on your decisions. So although we've got the core foundations in place, there's still a lot for you to work out and tweak as you play through. Also, I'd like to remind you we do actually have an active and growing Discord. I'm trying to recruit more Age of Wonders 4's players inside to share their stories and their difficulties. Hopefully, if you're stuck on something, we've got the players inside to help you out. And of course, the link for that is down in the description. But there you have it, we have created our Elven Druid faction. Now that's all that's left is for us to go into the affinities and actually pick out a few of the perks that I would recommend you focus on picking up early game. There's a lot for you to look at when it comes to your affinity perk line, and so hopefully this video will just help you kind of focus down on the ones that would really matter to this. But of course, feel free to mix and match. Now, when it comes to our affinities, we already have points in Astral, Order, and Nature. But feel free to pick up more as you go through this game. You never have to pick to 1 or 2. I've played through so many times, and it's quite fun to experiment to see what works and what doesn't. When it comes to the Astral affinity though, I would recommend putting a lot more points in it, as many of the better perks you get in the Astral line happen to be mid to late game. A good one to actually pick up within Astral is Rite of the Astral Summons. You immediately summon an army of magic origin with low maintenance to your throne. Now this will be tier 1, 2, and 3 troops and only cost you 250 Imperium. It's honestly not bad to pick up, and that's a guaranteed army whenever you need it. When it comes to the order line, you never need to put an extra point into this and you'll still be able to successfully get purification. Destroying an infestation or conquering a free city grants a stacking 300 relation with all other free cities for 10 turns. Now this does stack, so the more you do, the more positive relationship you get. It means you're going to be able to get vassalizations very, very quickly. You can also get diplomatic channels and gain an extra whispering stone, meaning you can talk to more free cities at the same time. And as you can see, we're going to get that in 17 turns, so we don't need to put any more points into order, and we'll still be able to pick up a couple of decent perks. After that, you have got tributes. You'll get an extra 10 gold from that. You've also got career soldiers, which means that your troops will earn 20% more experience faster. The quicker they level up, the more likely you're going to be able to get to those legendary troops and get those really good, decent buffs. And of course, we do already have 4 points in Nature Affinity. If you want to double down on Nature Affinity, there are some really good ones for you to pick up, but the beginning ones are equally as important. Fruitful Intrigation, founding or absorbing a city is quicker. You also get the extra population for that as well. And really quickly, when it comes to the Nature Affinity, you can also get a really cool a transformation of your faction, which is super growth, so you can have a race of super giant owls if you wanted to. The next perk we're actually going to have access to in 2 turns. Here, our farms get an extra 5 food, which is massive. It doubles our farm income and makes them worthwhile actually putting down. Of course, if you're going to go down with Animal Sanctuary anyway, you might not need them, but I think it kind of helps. After that, you have got Natural Recovery. Your units regenerate an additional 15 health when in friendly domain. And you've also got Rite of the Guardian Spirit. Immediately summon a Spirit Wolf with Guardian Spirit and Resurgence to your throne city. And it only costs 150 Imperium, and it's a pretty solid, hard-hitting tier 3 unit. But there we have it, guys. That is my faction for my Elven Druids. Hopefully you enjoy it. If I have done something that perhaps you wouldn't have, let me know down in the comments. And if you end up trying out this build, again, let me know how your playthrough went, what you would change, and you ended up picking late game. Be really interested to know just how your game is going. But until next time, I've been a monk, you've been a Critically Curious, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and happy gaming.